Right. Jane, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Gary?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're
Glad you got
blending
home.
into that background there.
I know, by the way, do you know what? I actually put a shirt on and everything. Conscientious.
Oh, oh,
Um,
I know you see clearly. I forget about the being on camera thing. I think, oh, it's fine. You'll not be able to be seen. Pat a bit of lipstick on. You can't see I haven't made a wee bit of an effort.
Of course you have. Of course you have. It wasn't until I sat down and looked and I'm like, I actually blend right in with the wall. Feel like just like a floating head. Just now. How's life? How have you been?
Not bad. I've got this puppy. So the story, because I know that Julie Nimmo has been in recently
Mhm.
talking. Julie Nimmo loves my older dog, Mac.
Right.
So Julie's got a dog called Bonnie, and we walk Mac and Bonnie.
Mhm.
And Julie and Greg have both always said, oh, we would love a wee Jack Russell. So then one day I was in the park and I met this woman randomly with a Jack Russell, and she said it just said pups. And I'd love to go and see wee Jack Russell puppies. And she went, oh, I'll say to my son now. And she went, I'll phone him right now. I went, no, 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 no. And she phoned me, Patrick, there's a girl come to see the puppy. I went, no, no, no. So I thought, well, this is a disaster. I'll end up getting a puppy. So anyway, I told Julian on the phone. She said, I think I might get a puppy. So then they chickened out and I ended up taking a puppy. But she says, and I categorically, she has said to me she's my backup. And if it all is a disaster with a pup, she'll take Ollie. So I was going to hold her to that. And we thought, oh, how amazing would that be if we've got brothers?
I know. That would be good.
Oh,
Like we part buddies.
I know. But
Tremendous.
anyway, so we love the dog. So I've got this puppy Ollie, and he's great, but he's murder police.
I was going to say, how much hard work is it?
Oh, it's exhausting. Honestly, we've got this old dog, and he was easy from the day now we got him. Easy peasy. If you ever give him in trouble once, he never did it again. He would be affronted, and that was it. Whereas this Ian's like that. Whatever.
What age is the dog?
4 months.
Oh man. See, I want a dog. But I just,
Oh,
you hear so many stories and you don't know whether to just go for it or not. It's just such a hard decision.
well, it's been hard work. I'll say that. But he is adorable.
Nah, it's worth it then, isn't it? It's worth it. It's
Yeah.
worth it.
So that's it. So that's been good. And what else is happening? The Still Game Boys. So myself, Paul, Mark, Gav, and Sanj are doing our wee tour, which I think you know about. So we've got some different dates on Dundee and Arbroath, Aberdeen, and then we've got on the 18th. I'll just give that a wee plug. On the 18th of November, that we're doing the Doubletree Hilton in Glasgow, and that's going to be a brilliant night because it's going to be a meal and then all good fun and everything, and a sort of evening with show, and we'll have music and prizes and great fun. So we're planning that. So it's good. It's all busy.
Do you enjoy that aspect, the kind of touring aspect of it as well?
I do. I love a live audience. That's my thing that I love. Yeah. It's good fun. It's great. You know, it's just it's like you feel like it's a carry on, and it's because it's your pals and because it's not. I mean, I love doing a show or a play where you're playing a different person. I do love that. That's probably my favourite thing. But because I know those boys so well, it's just going to be like a night out with your friends. It's not going to be like work.
I was going to say it's just like extended family, really, isn't it? With the amount of time that you've knew them all.
I know. I've known them all since I met Mark when I was 18, I think 19 at drama school, and the rest kind of in our 20s. So we're all in our 50s now. It's been a long time.
Well, I'm going to take you back to that point first of all. I always ask each guest this just out of sheer curiosity about what you were like at school and what job you wanted to do when you were growing up. Where did you see yourself at that age when you were at school age?
It's funny that because my mum had this book, right, where you would put in pictures of like all kind of through your life, and then you each year like a picture of your school and everything, and you had to like your hobbies, your friends, and a lot of my friends I've still got actually from primary one, which is really nice. But I always, you say, what job do you want to do? And I would always say actor stroke teacher. So that's really weird because that's what I ended up doing. So I'd always kind of said that my favourite thing was to play at schools. I had a blackboard and I used to get my teddies, the dog, friends, and I would want to be the teacher. And so I think, and again, that was role play as well, wasn't it? And so it's like sort of being an actor. And I think I loved studying to be a teacher, and I loved working with the kids, but I love playing at things. Like I could never be bothered being a nurse because it was just hard work.
Yeah.
And I would have too much to remember, too much to learn. I'd love to kid on. I always said to Mark, I want to be Nurse Campbell in something. I want to save lives, so just kid on. And then I don't, if some, I'm not going to kill anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I was at school. I think I wasn't a nightmare. I was never rude or cheeky, but I was always talking. I was always distracted. I was always looking out the window. I would always do the minimal amount of work that I could get away with. But I wasn't unhappy at school. But at the same time, I couldn't wait to leave at the end of 5th year. I couldn't wait to leave and go and do what I wanted to do.
And see, at that point, you've obviously got both these ideas in your mind of being an actor and being a teacher. What point did you kind of make a choice about, well, I need to concentrate on one first, or can I do one or the other, or did that happen for you?
Just kind of life. I loved not musical theatre, but I like doing plays, doing shows, doing that kind of thing. So when I left, I went to Clydebank College for a year, and then after that I went to drama school. So my life kind of went in that direction. I decided I would give that a go. But I did work as an actor until I was about 30, and then I thought, oh, I'd quite like to have kids. How's that going to work out from away on tour? So that's when I went back and I upgraded my diploma into a degree, and then I did a teaching qualification at Jordan Hill, so I could teach in secondary. So it was, oops, somebody at the door. So yeah, that made life easier, that I could do supply, and I could go in and out when it suited me. If it was a job that I could work with the kids, then I would go and do that. And in between, I could pick up some money doing 2 or 3 days.
Did you find it hard going back to study at that point, so long after like you'd done everything from school?
No, it's funny, not really, because when I was at drama school, I was interested in getting my 20 pence in the pool table. I was fannying about. It was full of carry on, and I remember if somebody asked a question, you'd go, oh. Whereas when I went back to make this sort of diploma into a degree, that was in Edinburgh, and I used to always be the one going, oh, can I just ask? And I would see folk looking at their watch going, shut up. And then when we went to do the teacher training, it was with a girl who was a year below me at drama school.
Right.
And we had to do it for 9 months, and she'd a car, and the sunroof, but it was all leaky. So if it was raining, you used to have to sit with your umbrella up in the car. So she would take shots each of driving. So I'd have my umbrella up, we would be chatting away, and we thought, right, this is 9 months. So this is like a test of a pregnancy, because I hadn't been pregnant yet. And I thought, let's just break it into 3 months. And we did every day for the first 3 months. We felt sick. And in the middle, we were like that, oh, this is quite good, actually. Everybody's nice, and we're quite enjoying it. And in the last 3 months, it was like, right, get this done. So I did enjoy it. I actually quite enjoyed researching and studying and writing, where I wasn't really mature enough to do it when I was younger. I just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah. And see, if at that point, if you obviously, when you were at drama school, when you were younger, did you just want to get out there and find jobs and kind of plot your path at that point? Just want to kind of go and do your craft?
No, not even that. It was just, you wanted to carry on.
Yeah.
And the discipline of doing an essay and doing stuff, that was hard. Whereas actually when I went back to it when I was 30, I did enjoy it. And I always say that to kids at school, don't write off education. My wee dad left school when he was about 12 and a half, I think 13, because he went into hospital for about a year and a half, and then by that time, he was born in 1923, so by that time it was time to leave school, go and get a job. So his education was rotten, but my dad read books and loved to learn his entire life. And like, he died in his 90s, and he died practically with a book in his hand, still trying to learn something else. So I think that's the thing. I always say that, my youngest boy, he is just like school, doesn't want to go to college, nothing like that, wants to get out, wants to, just go and work, get a job, see what he is in the world. And I said, that's great, go and do that and see if that leads to another job in a different path. That's fantastic. Just have a good work ethic and learn and sort of, but you might decide at 25 or 30 or 40. My cousin Andrew, I think, was 65 when he went back to do a degree. At any time in life, you can go and learn and grow and decide you want to do something different. And even if it's just for fun, even if it's not about work, it's just something you want to learn about. And I think that's really important, for young people. It's not always for you at 17.
No, 100%. That's exactly where I sit just now. I started uni last week at 39 to do a degree.
That's brilliant, Gary. I love that.
I was at school. When I left school, I was like, much as you're saying about your son, I just wanted to go and get a job and earn money and do different things. And I never actually thought. And then as you get older, I think you get interested in different things. And you see other people. I think there's quite a lot more, I hate the term, mature students now than there probably ever has been, because everything's so open. But no, I get it on that. Like, I felt like I was going for a job interview last week, my first day.
Oh, that's so cute. But that's a great push. What are you doing?
Business at Napier University. So I'll go one day a week. But
that's
it just won't drive a wee bit.
Well, of course it is. And you actually, you're engaged in learning and you've got so much life experience to bring to it as well. I definitely feel when I did my teaching qualification, because I'd had life experience, it made all the difference in the world, I'm not saying some of the young teachers that are out there are phenomenal and they're really engaging for the kids because they are young and they can relate to them. But, there is a lot to kind of bring to the party, and both my boys are dyslexic. Actually, my youngest son's extremely dyslexic, and he... so for him having to study and to like the discipline of reading a book, he's never read a book. I used to always, when he was wee, he would go, Mum, read me a story, and he would love stories. He loves films. And he sees the world a bit differently, and the way that he approaches things. But to read a page is a chore, and I really, really hope that one day because I love to read, and one day he'll enjoy reading a book rather than watching a film or listening. He loves listening to stories as well, but maybe that won't ever happen. But that's what's put him off wanting to study. Whereas I genuinely think when he finds his wee mojo and whatever it is he wants to do in life, he'll come to the party going, no, teach me about that. I want to learn. And whatever way that is, whatever format that comes, whether it's maybe an apprenticeship or whatever, plumbing, electricity, anything he wants, that he'll go, right, teach me. I'm ready now.
It's finding that niche, isn't it? It's finding something that he's interested in, that he wants to kind of... It's probably half the battle. If it's something you really want to do, it's easier to study it than something you're just doing for the sake of
it. Yeah. So that's what it's all about.
Definitely.
And it's not a race.
No.
Look, there you are, 39. You can do it whenever you want.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see if I finish it. Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
You will.
See, with drama school, and I've had a few people in the industry, very different views about. Some of them loved the experience, some of them left after maybe a year or two and felt it was kind of better for them to just get a hands-on experience. How did you find it from your point of view?
I did enjoy it. We had a man called Clive Perry who he had run different theatre, not just theatre companies, but different sort of buildings. Like at the time when he came to us, he was in charge at Pitlochry Festival Theatre, which is just one of my favourite places. Colin McCarry and I were there last year actually doing the season, and we would have gone back, and we would have loved to have gone back, but it was just a wee bit too hard this year working it in with other jobs in life. But so Clive, he was a terrible man. He used to say the cruelest of things to people. He really was. He was so cruel. But even when he said things, he would make me laugh, and I learned so much from him. I mean, he really knew his stuff. But even in real life, the things he said to people have written in their books, people that worked with local actors, like they couldn't believe how vicious he was. And I think some people actually phoned like a taxi to get them to London to get out of where he taught there, where he ran the theatre there. He was terrible, but oh yeah, he was a genius too. So, and he used to go on that, Jane. I can see your subtext like a pair of red flannelette knickers. And it was right. So he really encouraged me, and he gave me a job doing the season at Pitlochry after I left drama school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great opportunity because when you're in rep, you get to play parts that you wouldn't normally be cast in.
Right.
And then I did pulp video, which was the first thing I'd done with Ford and Greg.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd had other jobs at the comedy unit and other, but and he said to me, in fact, it was a few years after I'd left drama school. It was 95 and I left in 92. And it was a week's work, and I said, Clive, can you make this work? And he said, I'll do my best. He said, but if I can't, I'll let you out. I mean, it was an 8-month contract for that season.
Right.
He said, I'll let you out of your contract. And I said, I can't turn down 8 months for 1 week on a pilot of a thing that might go nowhere. And it didn't go anywhere, pulp video in itself.
Yeah.
And he said, you have to. He said, if you get a chance at something that could lead, which it did, it ended up leading to Still Game.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you have to give up the 8 months and you have to go and do it. And he said, I'll let you go. But then he did manage to work it in, so it was fine. But he was very much for you doing well and for you going for it and being really supportive. So, you know, and there was other people at that drama school, a man called Bert Bracewell who used to teach us fencing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved Bert. And it was the only thing in my whole life I've ever had an A+ for. And I was rotten. I wasn't even any good. But I tried. Oh, Gary, I would give it 100%. I'd come with costume and makeup, and I'd make up a whole fencing thing, like a scene with the fight in the middle. And it was me and my friends Audrey and Tracy. And he made you believe anything was possible. So you had great people, those other folk there, Lynn Baines, Auntie Mackie, Marilyn, loads of people that were great and really encouraging. But usually there's one person that kind of stands out, and for me that probably would have to be Clive.
Tough environment as well, though, but the sounds of it, I'd imagine some people would have sunk in that
Well,
environment as well.
It used to be 8 till 8 because you were going for warm-ups and stuff at 8, and then the classes would start about 9. And you were told if you were late or off without a doctor's line 3 times in 3 years, you were just asked to leave because they're like, the industry's too hard.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be on time and you're not going to be here, look, this isn't for you.
Mm-hmm. I suppose as well, though, if you've got somebody like that, it probably does prepare you for what is a really tough industry. But when you're out there yourself and you're trying to get jobs and auditions and different things, you probably need someone like that at the kind of studying point of it that is a wee bit harsher as such.
Yeah. Well, when me and Jane Dunbar went to Jordan Hill, and apart from when you're in placement, which is quite hard, but, you know, when we were actually at Jordan Hill College, you were in like 3 days a week, and people were going, oh, this is so hard, isn't it? It's really hard. And we're like, hard? You're in 3 days a week? And we were working every night because we were paying for ourselves to go through it. We're like, shut up. 3 days a week, hard. You know, whereas, but they'd been at uni, so they were thinking 3 days a week plus your studying plus working was hard. You know, that's the pure pimps. Trying to do 12 hours a day with Clive Perry.
Oh man. So then from leaving your studies and then going into the kind of world of trying to find jobs and that, how hard was it to actually try and get, obviously not just auditions, but getting past auditions and getting actual work, because it is such a cutthroat industry?
Well, you see, in the old days, obviously you would just go in for an interview, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything's a self-tape, which is great because it saves you money, but I hate self-tapes because you don't know how they want it. You can't, it's just, it goes, it disappears. You know, you don't know if people watch them, don't watch them. You don't know if it's you're the wrong age, the wrong look. You've just been rotten, or you're just whatever. You know, there's no chance to get in the room. And loads of jobs I've gone for, and they've said to me, you're totally wrong for this, but there's a part of a friend, or there's this, or there's that, or, you know, or you connect and they go, you're not right for this, but I've got something else coming up. Because you've looked somebody in the eye, you've talked to them, people do connect on a human level. Whereas, I mean, for all the self-tapes I do, I hardly even do any. But, you know, for the occasional one or two that you would get, I just don't feel, I feel you've got no control. I'd much rather be in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But when I left drama school, I got a job with the Tron Theatre, and it was like Dorothy Paul. Do you remember Dorothy Paul?
Yeah.
Ashley Jensen was in it. Anne Scott Jones, loads of kind of well-respected actresses. It was about 15 women, and we got a big tour. We went to Canada, went to Montreal, went everything, and then I got a job after that at Cumbernauld Theatre, which was great. So it meant that right away, I did get quite a few jobs, and then I get in with the comedy unit, so I got quite a few telly jobs. So I was really lucky that I kind of, got a good wee run when I first came out. But it never gets easier. I
Yeah.
never feel, even now after Still Game, it's been an absolute joy of my life to play that woman and be with the boys. But it kind of holds you back because people go, "Oh, you play Isaac." Nah, I don't know. I remember a one Taggart audition that I went for, and my son had already been cast. My son was 52, and I think I was about 34 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they went, "Oh, we thought you were in your 70s." So I was like, well, that would happen now because there's Spotlight, different things you would go on and you would see actors. But I think in a way it's harder than it used to be, because you're kind of, people just, I don't know, you're pigeonholed, I guess.
Does it still get to you as much after being in the industry this long when you don't get a part, or you don't even get a call, or you don't get any sort of answer on something you went for, or do you ever get to a point where you're used to it?
It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I genuinely do the very occasional self-tape, and it's great if you get it, but you kind of just let it go and you don't even think about it again. Some people, it does worry them. Some people do think about it and focus on it. To be honest, I don't. I just let it go and I forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
If I think what's hard is that you just don't hear. You maybe just get in later on, or somebody else has got that part or whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be really lovely, because it does take a lot of effort to learn, not even just to learn this stuff, but to set it up, to get I've always got to get a friend to come and read in for me because I'm rubbish at trying to set it up myself. So you go and ask, can you do it? You put up wee lights, you get it, then you do it over and over. It looks a bit rubbish. Oh, it's too dark. Oh, there's a shadow. Oh, the dog's barked. Oh, somebody rang the bell. Oh, I forgot my line. Oh, right, do that a bit again. Oh, I think it was better the first time, but the first time that was when the dog barked. So you better do that one again. It ends up taking all night, and then you don't even know if anybody's really watched it. And it would be nice to get a wee bit of feedback, but you never do. So
that's the hard bit, isn't it?
I think that is a bit rubbish, actually. I think for young people trying to make connections, because all the connections I ever made were in the room. And now I feel you just don't get the chance to be in the room.
And it's quite hard, as you say, without that personal connection as well, because it can lead to different things down the line if you've built that relationship with somebody and
Absolutely.
you know them.
Yeah. Well, I remember once I was going down to London for a thing. That's a lot of money, and it's great in a way that you just send a tape from your house. Of course it is. But so I'd gone for this job, and I bought a bag. It was in the window of a charity shop the day before. And I went, oh, that's really nice. It was like, I never buy ever. I've got nothing designery, but it was like the wee dog thing, like a wee Radley thing, and it was black, and it was quite funky. And I went, I like that. Bought it for going to London, went through, and as I was going through, they did a check on my bag, and there was Coke in the bottom of the bag. Now, I don't even have a receipt because I'd gone into the charity shop. It was 20 quid, which is that's more than I would normally pay for a brand new bag. But because it was designery, I didn't have a receipt. You're not going to take something back to her. I had no proof that it wasn't my Coke. I was like that. Well, she did say the word Coke, but she used the official term, but it'd come up with the thing. And I was like, I need to go on this plane. I honestly, and then she did let me on. It was traces of whatever, but somebody's obviously been using it, battered it into the charity shop, and off they went. And then, so when I came in, I went, oh, I nearly never got here. We're talking about happened. So they found Coke in my bag and in a charity shop. And so on you go. So sorry. And then it was a few people doing the audition. They went, oh, this happened to me when I was abroad, and that. I was in the audition for about an hour. I was supposed to be in for 10 minutes, and what a laugh we had, and all the stories and everything. And they said to me, look, the guy that's playing your husband's about 5'2". I don't think this is going to work.
Mhm.
But they said, I promise, I'm going to put you in something. I'm going to
Mhm.
find something. And it was right before lockdown, and then lockdown happened.
Oh.
So nothing's happened. But it doesn't actually matter, because there was a real, genuine laugh, connection,
Yeah.
and possibly something will come of
Mhm.
that. But certainly, if I'd just done the self-tape and they went, oh, she's 5'7", I'm like, nah, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
True.
and it brings you to life, and it makes you do the scene in all different ways, and you feel as if you've kind of grown yourself from it.
Mhm. God, what an experience. You could have got arrested at the airport.
Can you imagine that? I was upset, 'cause I was like, oh, they'll never believe.
Oh, man.
So and then I remember thinking on the way back up the road, should I wipe it all out with wet wipes? And then I thought, will they know? Will they know I've wiped that? Will they be able to tell and think, well, if she's wiped that, she knew, so she must have used it. Oh, I was up there high dove. It was a great story, actually. Sanjeev told me that he was coming at the airport. And so, this wasn't that long after 9/11. He's on
Mhm.
his own in the airport, and a security guard grabbed him and shouted round to the whole queue, found him! I've got him, ha! And Sanj was like that, oh my God! Thinking, what the hell? And then he went like that to him, punched his arm, hey, hey! And Sanj said, what is it? And he went, where's Wally? I found you. And I don't know if you know the books, if you've got kids, but there's all these books called Where's Wally? And you have to find this wee man in this page of hundreds of wee pictures. It was Julie Nimble that told me to buy them for the boys. And Saj said, I was wearing my glasses, a hat, my stripy t-shirt, and my jeans. And he went, I looked exactly like Where's Wally?
Oh,
But he went,
man.
I nearly shat myself.
You would, but
So,
if you get grabbed off anybody in an airport, you just get the full fear of
a
everything.
security guard shouting, I found him.
Oh, man. That is horrendous. Was there a point for you that when you were picking up jobs and things, did you get to a point where you felt, I've made the right career move here? This is big for me. This is kind of reinforced why I've done this as a job.
It's never about, I mean, as I said, I loved playing Isaac, and there's so many
Mhm.
jobs that I've loved. The Hydro was just amazing, but it's never really about that. For me, it's always the connections with people.
Mhm.
Like you're working, I used to do theatre and education, so you go about in an old like corporate van, and
Aye.
you'd be like 4 actors, and you'd tour about, and you'd humph your set into a school, do a show, humph it back out,
Mhm.
then drive to the next school, humph it all in, do another show, humph it all back out. And there's people, Astrid, David Goodall, Joe Davy, like I absolutely adore them.
Mhm.
And the laughing that we did, I mean, the ridiculous laughing that all of us did on those jobs, you can't buy that. It filled your soul, the stories that we still all tell, and
Mhm.
and the kind of real deep friendships that you make along the way. That's what it was for me, always, always.
Mhm.
It was never really about a part.
Yeah.
It was always about the people that I met on that journey.
Mhm. And I suppose it's that relationships thing again, isn't it? It's having that kind of lasting thing rather than just the job itself.
That genuinely is it for me. It's always been that. It's
Mhm.
never been, and yes, it is really interesting to research a character, to read a play, to go and see things, but it's never really been that. It's always been looking, and that's why I'm going to do a one woman play next year, because Ian Heggie's written it, and I adore Ian Heggie. And uh, one of the first plays that I did actually when I was 16, it was playing an old person. It's one of his plays, Politics in the Park. But I just love his writing,
Mhm.
and it's about this woman. She's so interesting. So, but generally, no, I would not thank you for a one woman play to be in it myself. And it's because you want to look into somebody else's eyes
Yeah.
and really trust them. And especially when I do work with, like, say, Mark Cox and we do a lot of kind of hosting things,
Mhm.
and I know I look at him and I know when to pick up the ball. It's
Mhm.
like really, it's like passing the baton, and I know when to speak, I know when to not to. I know what he's thinking. I know when he's coming to a natural, it's going to be me. Then, and I just think that's a great connection to have.
Yeah.
And when things go tits up, as they do, laughing with somebody when it's a disaster. Oh man, there's nothing sweeter than that. There's just nothing. It's so embarrassing though now because people know who you are. It's embarrassing if it's a disaster, but that also makes your adrenaline be higher. So the laughing, the crying I've done through laughter when things have gone wrong. Oh, delicious.
I suppose it helps as well if you're all in that headspace, then it's just easier, isn't it? If things don't go to plan all the time, which they never do. There's always something that happens.
No. I mean, so many, every job I think I've ever done at some point, something, and even always if it depends on the nature of the play or the nature of the thing, but certainly if you're hosting something and something clearly has gone completely awry. No, it's delicious.
I need to ask you about kids TV, because obviously you've done Me Too.
This unfortunate title, yes.
And I've got 2 kids, so I remember this. I remember watching it. How was children's TV? Because that seems totally different, because it's obviously a very niche audience.
It's very fast as well, because I think it was 16 scripts a week and there was 2 camera crews, so it was constant. And I had young children at the time as well. But I think Julian would probably say this too. When you're with your own young children and they're not behaving and you're out, it's a pure riddy when folk recognise you as Granny Murray and the kids are having a night. But working with young children, because I don't normally do that, it was always older kids, but working with those young kids, that was really good fun. And they would believe that you were real, and they would have a chaperone or their parents behind a kind of glass screen watching. So if one of them was really naughty or doing something they shouldn't, they would look to me, because they would believe that I was Granny Murray, the childminder, to discipline. But I'm a bit awkward about disciplining, because I knew like their parents were watching through a screen, so I'd be like, I don't want to go, no, Johnny, don't do that, don't hit. So I was like, so they probably thought I was the worst childminder in the world. I would go, hi, trying to look at the glass, hi, and like the kid looked at the glass, like, what am I going to do? No, those 3 kids are lovely, and it was a great experience. The team that ran that Tatty Moon, it was Helen and Brian who'd done Balamori. They were so good, and all the costume, makeup, everybody. It was a great team and lovely people in the cast. So it was hard with the kids because it was full on and tons to learn, but it was really nice. Yeah, happy memories of that job.
Would you do kids
and
TV
so many
again?
Kids that come up to you. That's a lovely thing when kids come up to you as well.
Well, I suppose now you've got that kind of that generation of people who probably watched you, but they're now at adult age, and they're like, "Oh, you were my childhood."
I know,
you in that program.
It was odd. And Big Claude with this weird kind of mannequin thing that we would dress up every day and talk to Claude. It was odd that she had Claude in our living room, and then the husband used to always go, "What happened to her husband?" And then we used to always see rats burrowing at the back door, because we were bringing down the Rolls Royce plant next door in Hillington where we were filming. So there used to be this big sticky mat in the grass where they would take the rats away in the morning. So it was, the children would come, but we would see rats burrowing, and we would go, maybe she murdered her husband and he's buried in the garden and the rats are trying to dig him up. And so I had this whole story in my head for Granny Murray. But it was great. But I loved them all. But when Mickey John used to come, who he writes, so Donnie, he's not really Welsh, but he pretends to be, but he writes with Sanj. He's very funny, Donnie.
Yeah.
And we used to, we would literally cry. I remember he would go, "Granny Murray, I've come to guess your weight." And then he'd have to lift me to guess my weight. I was like, take 100. And they were like, "Guys, come on. We've got to go with that. Right, come on this time, please. I said, I won't laugh. And then he'd lift me up. I'm laughing again. Terrible. And our words of wisdom as well. It was always random. Now remember, she would say, "Where there's one, there's always another." I never even understood her words of wisdom, but she was always right. Oh yeah, she's a very, very wise woman.
Well, it's because it's the granny thing, isn't it? You always listen to your granny. That's why
You
kids are like spellbound.
And I was like, "Why am I playing a granny?" I thought I was only 34 or something. But anyway, that's fine. One day I'll be playing grannies in their 70s, and hopefully, and I'll not need any makeup, any wigs. I'll just walk in. That'll be me.
You've had years of practice already. You're
Surely.
ready.
Surely, when I'm a granny, I'll actually get cast as a granny. Please.
Oh man. I was wanting to ask you as well, obviously, you said yourself you were quite lucky with jobs and that you got pretty quick when you came out of school, but how do you find the times when you're going between jobs and there's kind of lengthy periods? Because it's different in the sense for actors where you've no money coming in, there's nothing coming in if you don't have any work. It's not like you're getting a
Well,
salary.
that's why I would say to people, yeah, I mean, whatever you do, if you work in a bar, but it's hard because a lot of times people don't want you to just come and go. So if you can try and find yourself a job where you can pick up work, like supply or like a hospitality thing where it's shifts and you can just sign up where you're needed, something where you can earn money, or you do. Edward Reed, I was talking about the weekend, he does mindfulness and he goes in and does corporate things of mindfulness as well. Anything where you can earn money to top up or to do when you're not working. Money in theatre is terrible unless it's like a big commercial tour, or unless, it's like, but generally money in theatre is dreadful. So it's £500 a week. Time you pay an agent your tax, you're down to £400 a week. Then you're paying petrol, you're paying, whatever, food and all that. So you could be working sometimes doing 12-hour days, 6 days a week when you're rehearsing, and then maybe in rep, you're doing shows at night.
Yeah.
And you're really coming up with, if you're lucky, £360 a week. That just isn't a lot of money. So I do feel it's getting to a point now that, and even telling money is not good money unless you're doing big high profile things, or you're, it's maybe Amazon or Netflix or but if you're just doing a wee BBC job, the money's rotten.
Yeah.
So people can't save. You can't work 12 hours for a lot of days, which they are, in these jobs, and save off £360 a week.
No.
You can't do it.
No.
It's not possible. So equity is going to have to step up, which they have not done. The wages are going to have to go up for everybody. Actors can't, go on strike. How's that going to work?
Yeah.
People can't work for nothing and say, well, I'm just doing it for the experience. I'm just doing it because my mum and dad fund me, or just, no, there has to be a line in the sand. You go, that is it. That's what I work for and nothing less, because people need to survive. And unless you just want folk who are elite with money, or, being actors, if you want real people to come into the industry, you have to pay them properly so they can survive.
Yeah. And
nobody, in between, you can work and you can get other jobs, but that is hard too. So it's harder than it was when I was younger. Also, they used to have it that you could only work if you were in equity, but now anybody can work. So the market's flooded. My friend sings, and she used to go out for, I think she went out for about £150 a night. Well, it's still £150 a night, and that's 20 years later.
Yeah, it's not changed.
It's not changed, and everything's gone up, but the prices haven't gone up. So, you'll get somebody going out and they're not really professional. They'll just go out and take some tracks and just sing in a club, and they're happy. To what? But she's been an agent, she's been taxed, she's been for the upkeep of all her equipment. She's, the time she's done that, she's been in the industry a long time. She's bloody brilliant at what she does. She's a fantastic performer, singer, entertainer, and she's lucky to get 80 quid for the night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's rubbish. Yeah. It's rubbish, So, things need to change.
I suppose that's the thing that probably young actors don't really see, because they've never been in that position of going 4, 5, 6 months with no money coming in, or as you say, it's hard to find a job that you can then leave again in a few months if something comes up. But it's quite an unusual industry in that sense.
Because you're away for a few months and you're back. You're away, you're back. So that's why things like supply. I mean, I've done. I did I worked in a sex line with sex advice. I worked in all different wee jobs when I was younger, just to try and get a wee bit of money. And also things like doing the theatre and education. You would take a 3-month tour.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was great because it was 3 months.
Yeah.
But then because it was every day you were working, you couldn't go for auditions. And you
Yeah.
can't not turn up. You committed to
Mm-hmm.
that 3-month period. So it was hard when that would finish, because then you would literally have nothing to go on to
Mm-hmm.
because you weren't available Monday to Friday
Yeah.
for 3 months. So sometimes you had to take a hit and go, well, I'm not going to work, in the hope that, I'll get some like
Mm-hmm.
theatre jobs or telly jobs or.
A lot of calculated gambles, isn't it, when you're kind of trying to work out what the best thing is to do for yourself?
Mm-hmm. It is hard. I mean, if it was my own kids, would I advise them to go into it? I don't know. The boy back to back, he was doing medicine, and he gave that up and went back to study acting. But
Mm-hmm.
then COVID hit when he came out, and then he's not really had a lot of work. And now he's going back to uni to do speech therapy because he feels that would kind of, but it's hard because he's used up his credits for college and uni.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Should
Yeah.
I have said to him, don't do that?
I
Stick in at
know
your medicine, probably,
yeah.
but he wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm. No, it's hard, and it's that kind of finding your own path, isn't it? It's trying to kind of work it out as you go. No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
I know it is, but I have been lucky, and a lot of it is luck. There's no
Mm-hmm.
two ways about it. But then a lot of people have been, I mean, out of the people that I went to drama school in my year, there's a few people have made a living just about. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people have left the industry now.
Which is a shame as well, because there's so much talent that kind of falls by the wayside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And people who are a couple of folk I would say way more talented than me, and I thought would do so well,
Mm-hmm.
but just didn't get a lucky break.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. I was actually going to ask you later on about the most random job you've had, but I think you just covered it 2 seconds ago with the.
I know, I used to deliver sandwiches. I loved doing that, actually. That was good fun. And it was like in a big trolley, and you'd push it around the offices.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go into all the offices and imagine what it'd be like if I worked in that office, and what I would do and what I would wear. And I would, like, in my mind, like that, la la la, pretending to be typing away. And hi there, yes, can I help you? Good morning. I loved all that. But the sex advice, that was a riot. That was great fun.
Yeah, you must have got some outrageous phone calls on that.
Outrageous. But it was also it was a good thing because it was advice as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it may be somebody who you would refer them on to the family planning clinic, or you
Mm-hmm.
would, there was like people that maybe phoned up and they'd been assaulted or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it was actually really, 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 I mean, don't get me wrong, 90% of it, that was men masturbating. But the 10% who weren't masturbating, it was really interesting.
I was going to say, how do you even adapt to a job like that? That's just insane. If you were to describe that to somebody before they started, they'd be like, no, I'm all right. I'm going to leave it.
That's right. I know, you could always tell. You could always, you'd start, and they would go, no, I'm just walking up a hill. Are you though? Are you walking up a hill? I can hear the telly in the background. But it was good fun, actually.
The life experience, I suppose, isn't it? Life experience.
Oh, great stories. Yeah, great stories.
So lucky break wise, then obviously, how did Still Game come about? How did you get cast for it? Where did it actually all start for you?
Probably was Pulp Video, that first job that we did. Ford and Greg were in that. Gavin was in that. Ronnie and Kona, Parrot was a comedian that was in it. Rona Cameron. There was loads of people doing wee different bits.
Mm-hmm.
Julie Nimmo. So we did that. And that didn't go to another series, but actually it was a great learning experience for all of us.
Yeah.
He was doing stuff in front of a live studio audience, and Ford and Greg started writing things. There was a home help in it, and I was a home help, which sort of became Isa.
Mm-hmm.
So then I did all different wee telly jobs, some with Ford and Greg, some without. Some, like, we did Hubbub, a kids thing. We did The Baldy Man. We did Parahandy. There was loads of different jobs. And then we did radio shows for Tune the Fat, and I used to do the radio shows. But then when it went to on the telly, So I went to teacher training, then I got pregnant, then Tune the Fat went on the telly, then suddenly just woof, it took off. And I was like, oh, that's, I was happy for them, but I was a bit jealous, going, oh yeah, gutted. But then Julie Nimmo came to my house, and Ian was only a baby. And she said, Jane, she says, they're writing a thing about you remember the old men in Pulp Video? And I went, yeah, she went, they're right. And Julie and I had also played old women together in Pulp Video.
Right.
And in another sketch, they said they're writing a thing, and it's called Still Game, and they're going to write you a part as a neighbour. And that was that.
Wow. Did you see when you first kind of seen the scripts and started doing it, did you ever imagine it would be as big as it's ended up?
No, I don't think you can ever imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think we were also excited with Pulp Video, then nothing happened with it. So I think you just stay in the moment. It's like putting off a self-tape. It goes, you forget about it, you even think about it again.
Yeah.
It's done, it's gone. So and that would be that was the same. You film it, you enjoy it. I mean, I know people that have been in films and they've thought, this is it.
Yeah.
And then they get cut out the film, or the film flops or doesn't go ahead. I know people have done the first series of something and then they go, I'm really sorry, and they recast the part. Gavin Mitchell in the first series wasn't Bobby the Barman. Gavin was Winston when we did Pulp Video.
Right.
And then Winston became Paul, somebody else was a barman, and then they brought Gavin in to be the barman. But what about the poor guy that had been the barman? He must be sick.
Right.
And that's life. It's not that he wasn't brilliant. It's just sort of getting a combination of people together in the right chemistry.
Yeah. And was there what was the moment for you with Still Game when you realised this is pretty big? This is like a big deal?
No, actually, I was so involved with my mum and dad. I was, they helped me a lot with the kids, and then I was caring for them as time went on, and the kids were wee. I didn't really get recognised in the street. I don't really know ever. I don't know if I've ever really thought of it as being a big deal. That's weird, isn't it? Because people watch it all the time. I suppose people say to you all the time, oh, I've watched it over and over, and it's really helped. Maybe people that have had a bit of depression or different things have said it's really pulled me out of a hole, and that's lovely. But I generally go about my business, and now people recognise me more, but I don't even know. Somebody said to me, oh, I saw a video of you're battering into Pecora at a wedding. I went, oh no, I didn't even know I was getting filmed. How embarrassing. They're obviously going, there's that ass of Still Game. Look at her. Many bits of Pecora as that she's had. Battering in, think nobody can see me. How embarrassing. So I try, but if I went on Big Brother, it'd be terrible because I forget immediately. I would forget the cameras were there within 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'd be saying everything that was inappropriate and farting and laughing, and it'd be a disaster. So yeah, that's the only thing. I think in people, and never mind people say, can I get a selfie or the chat, but you never mind that. Sometimes it's at a moment where it's maybe not appropriate.
Yeah.
Something happened in your life, something's quite difficult, you're at a hospital with somebody and they're really not well, or that's hard. And people kind of they forget that and they get lost in the moment.
Yeah.
And you're an arsehole if you go, actually, do you mind? Not just now. So you kind of feel you have to go along with it, even if you don't want it. Sometimes it can be a wee bit difficult, but on the whole, no. And people have always been lovely. It's not like you're a footballer if you're playing Rangers and Celtic and half the folk love you and half the folk hate you.
Yeah.
People either say nothing or they would be nice.
Yeah, you get people that do the kind of stare as if they're trying to work out who you are, and they know, but they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to say something or no. We'll just not say it. But then it's Glasgow, probably most people just say something anyway. It's par for the course.
I know, and the good things come with that as well. And the only thing I would hate, and it's only ever happened to me a couple of times, where the person either is recognised or not recognised, it doesn't matter. I would never cash in on it, never. And the person I've been with, never a close friend, always just generally somebody that's been there.
Yeah.
Say, for example, you can't get in somewhere, it's food, they're like that. No, not to, whatever it would be.
Yeah.
And they'll go, do you know who she's Still Game? And I'll go, please don't do that. Please
just dying a
don't
bit
do
inside at that
I
moment.
bear it. My arsehole is tight as a drum. So I could not, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
I've never done that myself. And I was just going, oh, please, oh, no, oh, don't do that. That's the worst ever.
I would always imagine in that situation, my fear would be you say that and they go, no, I don't know who you are. And you're
Uh-huh.
just standing there like,
I
brilliant.
don't know who you are, and I don't care. And the one time somebody said that she actually was a lovely girl, and she said it, and she said it because she felt bad because we were going into a club and we were with a whole load of folk and they were steaming, but we weren't really with them, and the people we were with had got in, and we got a knockback, and she's like, please, our friends are all in there, our friends are in there, and like, nah. And she went, but please, she says, it's still game. And she went, so what? Don't even watch it. I was like, no, I want to die. I can't breathe. But
That is the kind of reply you would get in Glasgow. Like, don't care.
And what? I would no, I've never seen that. And I honestly wouldn't even I wouldn't want any special treatment. I don't nothing.
Oh man. How was it
In fact, the
working?
best thing in the world is my favourite thing is if people don't know you, because then they talk to you like a normal person.
Yeah.
They don't start going, oh, it's can I selfie? Oh, it's so good. They actually just tell me their story, which I love more than anything.
Yeah, because you must be so used to it going the other way rather than having that kind of two-way conversation with somebody.
I know, and it's nothing nice to see a bus stop and just meet somebody and you start talking, or like, see, when I've got this puppy and we're out in the park and you meet other folk and they talk about their dogs, you talk about their dogs. My favourite thing in the world is 10 minutes with somebody and I hoover up every single thing I can get out of them.
Yeah.
And then we go, bye now. Have a lovely day. I love that.
How is it working with all the people from Stillgame? Because you worked with them before, you knew them all, like you
Okay,
said,
they're just
you've
my
used some of
pals.
them
I
since
don't
you were
even,
young.
they're like my family. I don't even think of them as.
Did it feel like work?
Oh yeah, it feels like work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like work. Because it's this, you have to be disciplined and you have to be there, and it's long hours, and you know, yeah, it does. Yeah, it definitely does. But nice work.
Yeah. I suppose if it's all your kind of mates and people you know, I suppose it makes it that bit easier if it is hard going.
I don't feel like, I mean, it's hard, you're teaching in a school, but I don't feel like that's work if you're in a good school. See if your senior management team are supportive and there's good members of staff and you get some great kids around you. Now, don't get me wrong, teaching's one of the hardest jobs you can do. I know how hard a lot of friends work, the hours they put in. It's people go, no, you only work till 3. I don't know any teacher that finishes at 3. Nearly every teacher I know is there till 5 or 6, or they're taking work home and they're doing extra stuff at weekends. So no, it is not easy. But again, it's like it's a different kind of work. And that's the same with anything. Any job, if you enjoy it and you get loads of lovely good feedback from other people and the kids or whatever, it's a joy.
Yeah, it must be. Do you think it's harder teaching or acting from your point of view?
I think if I was a real teacher, I would think of myself as a kid-on teacher. But yeah, see if I had like the stress of all the kids doing exams and you know, I think if you were doing that, or if you were in a tough school, I think that is harder. But then there's a lot of pressure, you know, as an actor, especially if you've got, there's different pressures. If you've not got a profile, that was great. You could have a carry on, you could have a bit of a laugh. You could, if you did corpse on stage or something happened, you know, it doesn't matter. It goes under the radar. You wouldn't ever do that if you could help it. But sometimes things went wrong, or you know, whatever. But now if you've got a wee bit of profile and you're in something and it is a turkey, or it's really, you know, you're out there, you're quite exposed. There is a lot of stress that comes with that. I don't know. That's a good question. It's both, because I love both, and there's completely different stresses with both. And You know, if you're doing a panto and you're doing 2 and 3 shows a day, you're giving it 100% for every single show. That's absolutely exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. If
Mhm.
you're filming long hours and you've got to go home and learn lines and everything, that's exhausting.
Mhm.
It's different kinds of hard work and different kinds of stress.
See, from the acting point of view, have you ever came close to just kind of giving it up? Like at any point, is there anything that's kind of got to a point where you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore?
Um, if I had to give it up, I would give it up. I've loved it and I've enjoyed it. And it's, as long as I was doing something creative with like-minded people and that with people I liked, it wouldn't have to be acting.
Mhm.
You know, I suppose I've never actually gone, I'm giving it up, or I'm going to give it 3 months, and if I don't get work, I'll give it up. I've never come to that point. But if life took me in a different direction and I did something completely different, and I would go off and do that.
Mhm.
I don't feel tied to being an actor.
Yeah.
I don't feel that I would have failed if I'd walked away from it. I don't think that. I don't feel, when I'm teaching, I love, enjoy my life just as much as when I'm on a stage or filming. I
Mhm.
don't feel, you know, and whatever, I think if you give it 100%, if I was working behind a bar and I was loving doing that, you know, would I go off and do that if I really enjoyed it and I was liking the people I was working with? Yeah, probably would.
Yeah.
Probably would.
But I suppose that's what when you were talking earlier about being lucky, that's probably lucky in a sense as well, because you could probably get people that would be terrified of switching off in that career for not knowing what else to do, but you've got that option of you're happy doing so many other things that it
I know, I
doesn't.
genuinely am. I don't
Yeah.
feel, I think success is really, are you happy? Do you have good people in your life?
Mhm.
Um, do you, you know, I remember one of the lines in Sunshine on Leith. We went to see that at Pitlochry, Colin McCready and I last week, actually. And it's like, while I'm worth my place on this earth or something, it's like, I maybe quoted that wrong, but it's like, if you kind of feel that you're doing your bit, and whatever that, even I was looking after my dad and my mum, and you know, that was what was really important at that time. You're
Yeah.
doing what's right for you at that time.
Mhm.
I don't think any of us instill game of an ego. I don't care about that. I
Yeah.
don't care about being seen to be doing well. I don't care about that. I don't
Mhm.
care about things. I've never cared about possessions or things. I couldn't give a toss. I
Yeah.
just, it doesn't mean anything to me. I have been lucky that it's nice. It's nice to have a wee car. It's nice to have a wee holiday. All those things are, you know, they do make you happier because you're not exhausted. I think for people just now thinking, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to buy food? How am I going to cope with Christmas? How am I going to get to work? 'Cause I can't afford to run my car now. How am I going to, you know, that's hellish. That's
Yeah.
absolutely horrific. That is so depressing and absolutely miserable. And you can have wonderful friends and wonderful everything. But if you're worried about that, you drown under that. It's impossible to try to find a way to be happy, and it's very, very, very difficult. So yes, I am so lucky, and I'm so lucky that I've always managed to do something
Mhm.
where I can get by. But I even remember, you know, there was times where I literally had nothing, like no money in my bank at all, nothing at all. And then my wee Auntie Maisie McCarry would visit my mum, and she'd go, "You all right, hen?" And I'd go, "Aye." And going out the door, she'd slip me a tenner. Thank you.
Like a lovely
Thank
one.
you. It was like a guardian angel, you know. And I do feel I've always been kind of lucky, like when I've had absolutely nothing, maybe even at drama school or when I had, you know, whatever, my mum and dad would come with a wee tartan trolley. Once a year they would come with a short big trolley full of tins from Aldi.
Love
And
it.
like that would get you through forever. Tins of soup and beans and, you know, sausages. And um, so I see if I can keep my head above water. I've always felt that if I can just keep my head above water and keep your feet in the ground and your priorities right. And
Mhm.
you know, I remember reading a thing and it said, right is right even if nobody's doing it, and wrong is wrong even if everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
And I think, see if you can keep that in your head genuinely. And I'm not saying I've not done things that have been wrong. Of course, I've done plenty of things that I regret and have been wrong. But I genuinely just try and do the right thing.
Mhm.
And I think all of us are like that, actually. You know, all of us instill gaming. we're going out to do this show with those boys, and like Mark, Paul, Sanj, Gav, all of them. If you asked them for anything or needed help, it would be there. You would get it. They would have your back. They would, we would all support each other, and it's a lovely feeling, that.
Yeah, definitely, because you don't always get that in workplace environments. You don't always have that support network that you're talking about just now.
No, not at all. We're very honest with each other, even about money, wages. There's a great power in that, because people can't pull the wool over your eyes if we're all honest with each other.
100%.
So everything's kind of up front, and even I remember the night before, or the day actually, that we're just about to do the first ever show at the Hydro. Now, that was so brave of Ford and Greg, because that could have been disastrous.
Yeah.
Nothing like that had ever been done before, ever. A big comedy show like that,
Mm-hmm.
with that type of huge space. And I remember somebody had said, because Sandra had ever really been on stage before, which is incredible. And somebody said, God, what if we forget what to do? What if it all goes wrong? Mark went, we can do anything in these clothes. If something goes wrong, we make it up. We talk to the audience, we laugh at the audience, and we make it up. We know these people. We know these characters inside and out, and we know each other inside and out. We're all right. It's going to be all right.
So right, though. It's such a true... Because you must have... it's different when obviously you're doing like a theatre or something, but if you're playing the Hydro, you guys sold out more times than One Direction, which is mental.
Laugh.
When you think about it. But how was your nerves before it?
Well, it was hard, the nerves. I fell, tripped at the dress rehearsal. I think I probably fractured my wrist. Never been right since. And smashed all my glasses, got a black eye. I had to run across the stage. And for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe I ran at the wrong bit or ran whatever, but there was a bit of staging that was kind of raised, and it was dark, and I tripped, and Mark said it was like watching a gazelle being shot. Like I literally tripped, and I flew through the air, and then clang, down I came. So that kind of... Gavin had fallen off his bike, and he'd about 6 broken ribs as well. So we'd do this big dance at the end. And I remember me and Gavin looking at each other, sweat pouring off our faces, like grey, shaking. I thought, I'm going to be sick, I'm going to be sick, I'm going to be sick. So that kind of took the edge off the nerves, because I just kept thinking, don't faint, don't faint, don't think about your wrist. So, yeah. But no, it was a joy. I loved the second one. That was my favourite out them all. Because on the ship, I loved the dancing, and there was a thing that Ford did in that one where it was on a running machine, and I could genuinely say it was comedy genius. It was comedy genius. It was a masterclass. I used to watch it from the side every show. It was brilliant.
And the imagination behind the whole, even like the stage stuff, but the whole show, to come up with all that stuff for that long.
They're very clever boys. They're very clever. Yeah, they are. They're very clever boys.
That's unbelievable. Any standout moments for you when filming with them all, or any kind of crazy moments that are ingrained in your mind?
Well, I've told all those stories because, again, it was mostly the fun, I would say, that we would have behind, where you were, because when your cameras are rolling, you're concentrating and you're focused. But there was so many things. I remember I used to eat the cola bottles in the shop constantly, and I'd be standing talking to Sanj, and I remember I said, Sanj, what's all the wee bits? And he went, I don't know. Of course, Sanj is blind as a bat because he played Navy without his glasses. Sanj can't see anything without his glasses, so he couldn't see. So I said to somebody, what is that? And they took it away, and it was rat droppings. And they had been getting covered up at night. And so the rats were coming in, eating the food. And I was like, oh my God, I've never eaten a cola bottle since. And it was the fizzy ones, all covered with the sugar, and it was all wee weird black dots. But Shamshad was so funny. You'd hear her come in her laugh, and she's so warm and gorgeous. And there was we had so many good laughs and playing tricks on each other. And we would have a quiz at lunchtime, every lunchtime on the Winnebago. We called it the Quizzabago. The guy that owned the Winnebago, he would ask us questions. I was the worst. He used to give me some answers so I wouldn't get nothing because it was my pride. But we got to know the costume and makeup people so well. It was the same makeup people all the way through. So Michael, the director, the same. There was so many people. It was like a big family.
Yeah.
And you would carry on and laugh and be naughty. And it was, I think the crew always said it was one of the happiest jobs ever in Scotland to get to work on.
The thing is, as well, and I seen something online a couple of weeks ago, and it was somebody like a fanatic, I would assume, by the kind of the tweets that were on it, and they looked at each kind of season and the episodes, and it covered so many kind of real life situations that you probably wouldn't notice because you're just thinking about the comedy. With all the episodes, like things like people can't pay their bills, or like there's people that have had deaths in the family, or people that need to go
it was full of pathos.
There's so many kind of life events.
Covered loneliness, it covered poverty, it covered community. There was so death, families, sons and daughters that don't keep in touch. Real like Isa, her storyline, her son wasn't great, and Harry. Many women have been like Isa, where he took a linear, he would come and he would go, he would take money off her. He was rotten and everybody knew it. And how embarrassing for her in that community that everybody, although she was a gossip, she knew everybody would be gossiping about her and Harry as well, and what he'd been up to next, and the kind of the badness sometimes in people, because she was an old gossip herself. The latest thing that Harry had done, and and for Gavin as well, never ever, it's all very well Bobby's character on his own. He's a middle-aged man on his own, and he was always kind of a bit of a laughing stock and never really got a girl, or never had a family, or his family was the Klansman, and there was loads of tragedy in it actually.
Yeah, and it's probably good that you don't notice it at first, but then obviously when you watch it again, you do see all these things. But I suppose that's credit to all you guys, because you've done it so well.
There's even Winston losing his leg. People with ill health, Sanj Naveed with his prostate, and the finger up there. Which older men as well. How many older men have issues with their prostate where they've had to get the finger up the bum? Pretty common. And men don't talk about these things. So it's a talking point because it's funny. It's there's so many different levels to it, and loads of times we actually felt really sad. We always said, like Bobby always felt like he was my son. And then when they had that party for Isa, how lovely that they did that, and really touching once they decorated her flat. So yes, she was a pain in the arse, and they would slag her off and they were fed up with her. But they loved her as well, and she was good to them too. And I think there was so much of it as well absurd. And the very end of it, a few people have said to me, did they want to try to portray that Jack's character had a bit of dementia? Because he started getting more things mixed up and wrong. Was that the start of something? And I thought, I don't think so, because Ford never said that to me. I don't know. But I thought, how interesting that people are starting to think that. That's really great.
Yeah. Definitely.
The layers that they're putting on top. Maybe Ford did have thoughts like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose there's so many things that people pick up on that you don't even see when you watch an episode, and then you look back and you go, and that actually does make sense when you rewatch it. But yeah, as you say, it's just there's so many kind of wee different things. See, when you were saying earlier about when you had different jobs and you can, once you're finished, you can move on into the next one or whatever you're doing. Was there any emotional attachment for you when Still Game finished, because it was such a long time rather than a quick job?
Well, definitely. I mean, definitely knowing that you're not going to play that character again, and you're not going to be part of that team again in the same way. And
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, I think, yeah, the last night at the Hydro was so sad, and the last day of filming, it was sad.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you want it to end in a high. You want things to naturally come to a conclusion before it fades away, and everybody, it needs to. These things need to end. Everything, good or bad, comes to an end.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing lasts forever. So, I think the boys were bang on. It was absolutely right the way that and I loved that we all faded away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good ending. But you must still get people all the time asking you to bring it back.
I know people do ask that, but it's nothing to do with me anyway. That's all Craig.
Oh, see, obviously from an acting or a teaching point of view, is there any, might not be specific, but any kind of bits of advice you've had along the years that have stuck with you and you kind of still use them yourself?
I think my old dad, really, my wee dad, keep learning. Everything that you go in with your eyes open and try to learn as much as you can. Learn from other people, learn, always try and grow from whatever job, not necessarily an acting job, anything, any job that you do or any kind of new experience, learn, and think about it afterwards.
Yeah. And for anyone, and get a lot of kind of young followers of the show who are at that kind of 15, 16-year-old, much the same as you'll see in schools just now, anyone who is looking to move into that acting or even teaching industry, what advice would you give based on your own kind of experience, your own career journey?
I think it's almost impossible because everybody's journey is different. So, you can keep going, you can strive, you can work hard, have a good work ethic. Getting along with people is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people give you a job because they like you and they want to work with you. And yeah, you're right for it. But many times I would think, I wouldn't really have cast them or me or whatever. But it's the team works. And if people know you pull your weight and people know that you're decent, I think that really is a big part of it. You do need a wee bit of luck as well. You do, would you, don't give up, keep knocking the doors, keep trying, think of different angles, different way to get in the door. How can you be a wee bit different? I think when you're young, the part of you wants to rebel, but part of you wants to fit in as well. So you're kind of stuck between the two, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to stand out, but at the same time, you want to be an individual. So try and find what's different about you and sell that. But I was never good at networking. My mum used to always say that you'll never get anywhere because you don't network. You probably should network. I never have. I don't like it. It doesn't sit well with me. If I like you, I like you. I can't pretend to like you if I don't. If your chat and your behaviour's poor, I can't put a face in it. If you bring other folk down to try and get yourself on, that's not great. If you don't think as a woman, try to help each other to push on. If you're not right for something, if your pal gets it, well, you were never going to get it. So that's great if your pal's got it. Elevate each other, raise the bar, support people, because you get all that back.
Yeah.
It is hard because everybody's path is very different. Fame, never want or go for fame. That's the downside. Never go for that. That's irrelevant to anything. Money, don't come into acting if you want money. That's forget it. Do it if really you have to do it because you just cannot do anything else. It just is your passion. You want to do it, you have to do it, and you're prepared to never have any money, but go to some brilliant parties, laugh genuinely. I remember in my early 20s, I used to I was playing a horse and I had these horse tights and my pelvic floor was tip top, and I used to have to take those horse tights home to wash the gusset at night, and I used to have to write in my hand horse tight in case I forgot to bring them in because I couldn't go in my own trousers, had to because they had hoofs attached and everything, because I would actually genuinely piss myself laughing. I would have laughed so hard inside my horse costume that I would go, oh, not again. It's a wee cross-legged horse. So yeah, enjoy what you do, and never, don't have an ego, and don't be an arsehole.
Yeah. Words to live by.
I know what that said about. I've always said that to my boys. I said, look, I don't care as long as you work hard and don't be a wanker. That is the only things that I've ever asked of you. You know, just be a good guy.
To be fair, it's not a lot to ask. It's not a lot to ask.
A lot to ask. No, I don't. Nothing else really, really matters, does it?
Oh man. Right, I've got a few, before I let you go, I've got a few questions from people who listen to the pod. Somebody had asked if you ever been starstruck by anybody that you've met.
Yes. Ronnie Corbett. Now, if they're young, they'll need to Google it. Ronnie Corbett came to see, I've done the steam meet 3 times actually. And I was doing the steam meet, it was the Kings in Edinburgh it was on, we were touring. And I've loved him my entire life. And I thought, that sounds like Ronnie Corbett. Can't be. That sounds like Ronnie Corbett. I said, and I was in my pants and bra, and I popped my head out just to see, and it actually came out into the corridor in my pants and bra, like, it's Ronnie Corbett. So yeah, I loved him. So yes, Ronnie Corbett.
That's brilliant. Someone had asked who your inspirations are.
I love reading, right, and I love like different people's sort of life stories. So there's lots of different kind of paths and people that I've read about, and people that inspire you, people, you know, even just people round about, people in your family, people, you know, friends, people that inspire you. I couldn't say that there's ever been one person that I've kind of looked to that person and gone, you know, that's it. I think probably my wee mum and dad probably, actually.
That's good inspirations.
Yeah. You know, seeing, I mean, my mum was great actually, and she was a right laugh and everything, but seeing sort of my dad's journey, and, you know, it wasn't easy and everything at that time, and he always had such a kind of high moral code, and not for others, just for himself.
Yeah.
Like, never be judge and jury. I hate that. But I suppose, I think it's like that with dads would be like wee girls with their dads, eh? You kind of have them on a pedestal, and so probably my dad.
Oh, I hope my daughter has me like that when she's older.
Oh, I'm sure she will. My mum would shout ball, and you know, and go, Mum. But like, if my dad gave me that look of not angry, disappointed, I'd be like, oh.
That's worse than shouting. That's worse than a shouting.
Oh, it's worse. That look, oh no, that was a disaster. That was terrible. And I remember as well, my poor sweet dad, when I was going to drama school, you used to get this tuning fork thing, you to go, hoo, blow into it. Never once used it. It was in Bigger's music shop in Sucky Hall Street. And I said, so I had to get it. I was going to drama school, I think it was on the Monday, and that was a Saturday. And my dad had come home, and when I said he was going into town, he would get me this thing in Biggers. And I remember he came in and he said, I never got it. I was like, Dad, you didn't get it. I have to have that for Monday, and it's closed tomorrow. Dad! I remember I was absolutely raging, spoiled, wee selfish cow that I was, raging with my dad. And that night he had a massive heart attack.
Oh.
And then he said to me, when he was okay, and it was like a week later, and he went, I think I had a heart attack on the way up the hill to Biggers, because I had to sit down and I felt really ill and I thought I was going to be sick and my chest felt tight, and I came home. He said, that's why I never got you the tuning fork, but I didn't want to worry your mother. And I was going, Dad, you've ruined my life.
Oh my God.
Oh dear. God bless him. But yeah.
Well, I know you said you read a lot there. Any books that stick out for you? Because there's quite a lot of people out there that take a lot of
No, oh God, I'd need to have known that question before because there's so many books. I love Robin Jenkins, who's a Scottish writer who not many people read. I love him because again, it's like stories about people that you kind of know.
Mm-hmm.
The Kite Runner. There's so many books that I've just read and I have loved. But yeah, as an author who I would promote, who nobody really, young folk, I don't think would like him particularly. But I just love him. I love the way that he writes.
It's another Scottish writer as well, so it's good to publicise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love that. Someone had asked what your favourite part about doing Me Too was.
Laughing with Donald McCarry, with Mickey John. Laughing with Mickey John. One of the wee boys, Kai, he used to come to stay the night, but of course it wasn't night. It was all just lit as if it was night.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to go, please, Granny Murray, please don't put me to bed. Why can't I play like the other boys and girls play? And I would do, sorry, Auntie. He would have to go to his jammies. It'd be 10 o'clock in the morning and Kid on he was going to sleep. He never got to go anywhere. He was such a sweet, sweet wee boy. I remember as well as another wee girl, she was just delightful, Rachel. And Samson the dog was a bit odd and he bit her actually.
Right.
And I remember, she was worried she'd go for a tetanus, which is blinking sore when you're 4 at any time. And I remember she kept saying is, oh, Granny Marie, please don't give Samson into trouble.
No.
She was so sweet. They were lovely actually. Yeah, Chris, of course, has done so well. Chris was blind. He's a stand-up and he is doing really well now.
Mm-hmm.
I see him in loads of things. I'm delighted. He was great as well, you know. And they were really brilliant at that, actually, Helen and Brian that ran Tatty Moon.
Yeah.
You know, really good.
There's so many different characters. I can't remember his name. I love the wee guy in the train.
He was lovely, Matthew. I love my train.
Man. Love
he
that.
was great. He was great. So, the girls are great too. And I remember Sam went for an audition for Coronation Street, and she came to my house so that we could go over it and we could do that. And I was reading in the bits, and then she got the part in Corrie. She was in Corrie for a wee while after it. That was exciting. She was brilliant.
Aye, tremendous.
And her children, she was filming up here, so it went out on telly while we were filming, and her kids, because she was away from home Monday to Friday, and they used to say, Mummy, why have you moved in with a new family? Why have you got a new wee boy, Mummy? That was really hard for her.
It's so hard to explain as well.
I know, because they were only like 2 and 4 or something, our kids. So they would just see her on telly talking to another child and calling that child her son.
Yeah. Yeah, you're sitting
and no mention of them.
My mum's got a second family.
I know. Another life. It's hard.
Oh, man. This is a random one. Somebody had said if she could choose anybody to slot into a Still Game episode, who would it be?
Well, we always said it would be, oh my God, what's wrong with my brain? We have always said it would, that the person that I would want to be in it most of all. Well, no, actually, would he? Well, let me think, because I want him to actually be in it. I was thinking Billy Connolly, but we always wanted Billy Connolly to come to the Hydro and see the show, and I'd love to meet Billy Connolly. But if he was to play a part in it, if it was somebody to play a part in it, oh, that's really hard. I always wanted to meet my son. I always wanted to meet Colin, but not as a specific actor to play that part. Do you know who I always adored as an old lady? Do you remember in the royal family? She's passed away herself in real life, of course.
Nana.
Yeah, the Nana. Oh, Nana. see if Nana could have been friends with Isa. Oh, I'd have loved that. That would have been the best. That would have
be
been
quite
the
good, actually.
absolute best. And I always loved Dot and Ethel and Ethel's Willie. Oh, from EastEnders.
Yeah.
I've not watched EastEnders for many years, but I loved Dot and Ethel.
Ethel,
Good pals with them. Yeah. Remember Ethel's Willie?
aye. That's right. It was like a wee pug or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, God, that's gone back.
Brilliant. I mean, that would be my dream, to get into something like a soap as a genuinely an older person, cutting about.
Yeah.
Old people have no filter. They say anything they want. That's what I want to do. I want to play.
See, I always found that, like, see with the women that played Dot Cotton, see the interview she done kind of later on, she just didn't care. She was just like, whatever, don't care. I'm here. I've done everything I want to do. Do not care.
And she'd done fabulous stage work and everything.
Yeah.
You know.
No, amazing.
June Brown, wasn't her?
Yeah. She was like DJing and things like that as well. She was
a riot. Can you imagine? And you never had a fag out her mouth in real life as well.
I know. A few people had asked where you kind of drew inspiration from to play Isa.
Just like aunties and women in the shop round the corner, Agnes. But my Aunt Agnes, my Aunt Maisie, my Auntie Jean Smith, people like that. And people, I love going to things like I used to go sometimes to the bingo just to watch people, or stay on a bus and do the whole route just to listen into conversations and, listening to people. Mum and Dad's friends are all older because they were older when I was born. So just listening to their chat, I loved that.
Love that. Brilliant. And I'll put you in the spot, but if you don't have anybody, I will forgive you. I always ask everybody that comes on if there's anybody in Glasgow that they would love to hear their kind of career journey. But as I say, I'll leave it up to you if there's anybody that you can think of.
Who could I think? There's people that you meet that, like, again, it's not like somebody who's done amazingly well or somebody who's like in the sort of spotlight. But I genuinely do love when you're just meeting ordinary folk, if you're out for a coffee or a meal or a drink or whatever, and you just get speaking to people across a table and you find out their journey. I think as much of that as you can, especially when you're young, the better, because there's so many different paths that twist and turn. And Mark Cox and I this year, it was a lovely thing actually. We got honorary doctorates from Queen Margaret University. Lovely. And it was a beautiful day. It was so nice. And but when we were speaking to those young people, and Prue was in Bake Off, Prue, she was doing the speeches, and her story was really interesting. That's a great one for young people, very inspiring. But what she was saying is, you change so many times and opportunities come up. Always take a new opportunity, go down a different path. You never know who you're going to meet, what's going to happen. Say yes to things, try it, even if you don't fancy it. You never know. And that's the thing again with my boys. Right now, they don't really know where they're going or what direction. Doesn't matter. Just work, get experience, learn from people, keep your eyes open, and one thing will lead to another. One thing's for sure: if you do nothing, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. Nobody's going to come and knock your door. You just get out there and work, or do your uni course. And even if you do a course now and whatever, you decide you want to be, I don't know, anything. You go, you do, like, say, Andrew's doing his speech therapy or an electrician, anything you go and study. You can change. You don't need to stick. There's you at 39. You don't need to stick to the same thing. You can jump and change careers. It's not like the old days when you would go into a job at 17 or you'd go in at 22, 23, and that was you for life.
Yeah. No, and you're right. It's a totally different playing field now. There's so many options out there.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the young apprenticeship things are good too for young people. All different ways, different times. And I'd love to do Camp America. If I was young, I'd love to go and work abroad for a year. I'd love to, I've even said to my youngest boy, why don't you go on a cruise ship? Just, go and
see the world.
The bar and travel for a year and see what comes up. But they also go, Mum, that's your dreams, not ours. Sometimes I feel because I have been like lived an odd sort of free life that it's made them quite, I don't know, the opposite.
Yeah.
I
But then
remember
as you
when
say,
Ian,
they may change.
they might completely change. I remember when Ian was doing his
Mhm.
higher English, and that's what he wrote his essay about, how he was obsessed with rules, timekeeping, discipline, all of that, because everything is out the window for me. It's like that. I mean, what 16-year-old boy is it's like me? So that's your fault, Mum. Because I'm like that, la la la, it doesn't matter. We'll do it this time or that time, or you know, like 1 in the morning. I think I'll iron. You know, I'm not very good with discipline and rules, and but having said that, in some ways I am, because if you're not in time for work, you don't do your show, you don't turn
Yeah.
up. You know, so it's that kind of strange introverted, extroverted, queer mix of a person.
Discipline when it matters.
Discipline when it matters, but please, not rules, not
Yeah.
rules, not rules for the sake of rules.
Hmm.
Like with lockdown, I didn't mind when it made sense, but when things started to not make sense, I find those rules hard.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people were in the same boat at that point.
Hmm.
But hopefully we're past all that now.
I
Fingers
know,
crossed.
that's right. Yeah,
Fingers
that's
crossed.
right.
So,
Surely.
oh, well, if anybody is looking to come to the shows, where can they get tickets from?
So wallydugs.com, you can definitely book tickets there. There's different places that you can go,
Mhm.
but you can definitely access tickets there. And we're going to Dundee. Our brother just, I think the 5th of November, we've just released another date for Dundee, because
Mhm.
the 4th is very busy or sold out. I'm not sure which. But definitely, we're going to be all over the place. We're going to be coming to Greenock. We need to get the dates booked in for that. Mark and I are doing Greenock Panto. Come down and see us there.
Nice.
And if you want a brilliant Christmas night out, definitely 18th of November. In fact, I'm not sure when this podcast is going out, but this Friday we're going to go to the People's Palace between 1 and 3, and we're going to, so people can come and meet us and buy tickets for the event at the Hilton if they want.
Brilliant. Well, Jane, thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Been lovely talking to you, Gary.
Appreciate it so much, and I will.
I'm going to put my lipstick on. It's fooded now. Oh, a bit of a riot today. I'm so sorry about that.
Not at all. Not at all. It's been brilliant. It's been so good to hear about your own career, and the fact that you've managed to kind of do both the things that you really wanted to do as well. But no, I've loved it. Thank you
And
so
good luck
much.
to you. That's absolutely fantastic. Your business course
Yes, I'll
and
send you a
having the
picture when I
kids and
graduate.
working, and yeah. What age are your kids?
They are 13 and 17.
Right. Okay. So you're the
13.
same as me with a 17-year-old.
17-year-old boy, 13-year-old girl. That's a delight. Let me tell you.
I'll bet. I know it's a tricky wee age, isn't it?
Oh, it is, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
I
Absolutely.
know. I remember at 13, the youngest said he wanted a lock in his door. Yeah. So I mean, you can get a lock in your door when you're paying me money every week. You're handing in
Yeah.
your keep. You can put a lock in the door if you like, but until then.
Oh, amazing. Honestly, thank you so much.
No, not at all, Gary. Lovely to speak to you.
You too. I will catch up with you soon. Bye.